few days fixing here, and today it's time to actually explore a bit of Longyearbyen and go and check out the museums, try and learn something about the history of this place. Runs on the diesel generator, right? There's no other way of powering the town here. There's also no waste management for household waste or sewage waste, so any sort of rubbish generated by the people who live here or the people who come and visit has to get shipped back to mainland Norway in order to be disposed of. There's also nowhere for sewage to be treated. So all of the sewage generated on the island actually just gets pumped right back into the sea, which is slightly crazy when you think about it, but there's obviously a huge lack of infrastructure here because it's not somewhere that millions of people have moved to. So one thing I've learned since I've been here is that the governor of Svalbard has actually decided that there's not allowed to be any more infrastructure built in town. So there's not going to be any more hotels than there already are, there's not going to be any more houses than there already are. Residents are allowed to upgrade and improve the houses that they have already, but we're not allowed to build new ones. In an effort, I suppose, to try and stop the town outgrowing the capacity that it can withstand with it running on diesel generation and without the facilities and resources for taking care of its waste. Which makes sense, right? But then you watch the cruise ship arrive, drop 3,000 or 4,000 or 5,000 people off that flood the whole town, bearing in mind that there's only just over 2,000 people that live here year round. So you get almost double the population of Longyearbyen arrive every time a cruise ship stops. So this is the walk into town from the pontoon. See just how much rain we've been having since I got here. So this is kind of the start of the high street, if you like, which has got a supermarket, a lot of tourist shops, a couple of cafes and a few restaurants. So Svalbard's actually tax-free, so all of the shops here are tax-free, but obviously pretty much everything has to be imported to get here, so it's still an expensive place. So walking up the high street, it can be quite easy to forget the environment that you're in. There's so many sort of tourist shops and restaurants and bars, and then you'll just randomly see someone walking or cycling past with a rifle over their shoulder. A stark sort of reminder of the bears just around the corner and just how rural you are. Absolutely amazing artist gallery in there. Loads of handmade products, all sorts of natural ingredients on the island, paintings, hand creams, soaps, and I don't know, like beauty ranges and clothes and jewellery made out of the antlers that the reindeer shed every year. Really cool little spot, and one of the artists who's in there, who's running it today, gifted me a couple of her coasters that she makes out of seal skins. So yeah, pretty cool little spot. Wow. Okay, so that sign marks the end of the line. You're not allowed to go past that unless you have a rifle and a license and permission from the governor, or unless you're on a guided tour where they have all of those things. So that's as far as we're going today. We are right up the top of the hill. So now I'm going to make my way back down. So a lot of the early history of Svalbard stems from explorers trying to obviously discover what was out here. Lots of expeditions to Svalbard ended in fatalities, ended in ships getting lost, stuck in the ice. And then expeditions started moving into the North Pole, and there's still dispute as to who made it there first. And then as people started moving into Svalbard more, the main sort of reason they would come here was for trapping and whaling. So lots of really cool equipment you can see in the museum from all of the tools that they used to use for trapping. Things like polar bears, Arctic foxes for their fur were quite popular. Arctic foxes are still trapped today. Eventually it turned into coal mining. Became sort of the main reason that people would come here for work. When it started out, it was quite lucrative to pay, because that was sort of the only reason to get people to come here to do the mining. So originally women weren't allowed to work in the mines, it was male only. So a lot of the settlements here were very male dominated. And then during World War II, Svalbard was taken over by the Germans after it had been evacuated. They're the ones who built the runway, and then eventually it was decided that Norway would be the governing sort of country of Svalbard. But Svalbard does have its own governor, so there's certain rules in place that differ from mainland Norway. Heading back to Yova.